Welcome to Ink and Flame. I'm your host, Tina Kutras, and today we're sitting down with Bridgette Hooper to talk about her book, Reverie. Hi, Bridgette. How are you?
Hello, I'm good. How are you?
Good. You say that you're experiencing a little bit of weather down at home right now. Where's
Yes.
home?
New Jersey.
Nice.
Yes.
That's awesome. So
Yes.
that weather's probably headed up to me shortly anyway.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Lots of rain.
Oh, goody. I think that's what my day is tomorrow is a lot of rain. So
Yes.
I get your after storm, I suppose.
Yes.
So I'm going to get started with asking some questions about what it was like growing up with your imagination. What's a childhood memory or experience that you think shaped your love of storytelling?
My parents always read stories to me as a little girl, to my siblings too. But I was just always one of those kids that had like journal after journal after journal. And I was constantly writing. And I wrote a book in the sixth grade. We had this contest and I wrote a book about my guinea pig and his name was Snookums and the book won first place. And I was
Oh, that's
like,
exciting.
yeah, I was kind of like, wait, you know, maybe I can do this. And now here we are a billion years later.
That's pretty cool. So how long was
Yeah.
this little book?
Oh, I want to say like maybe 20 pages,
Okay.
maybe, but I there were illustrations too. I
Self-drawn
know.
ones?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. It's real good.
Do you still have Snookums' book?
My parents do. They won't give it
Oh,
to
that's
me.
sweet.
They won't.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So what created your love of storytelling? That was the first time you wrote, but what sort of started it?
I don't really know. I just had an imagination, I guess, and I had to get the stories out. Like I couldn't just keep them in my head because everything kind of got jumbled and I was getting confused. And I was like, you know what? Just start writing. And I wrote and I wrote and I wrote, and a lot of it was absolute garbage. But, when you're a kid, you're excited to write and you don't have any inhibitions.
Right, exactly. So how did that translate as you got a little bit older?
Well, it's hard to say because when I was growing up, you kind of realize like being an author isn't necessarily a secure, stable job,
Hmm.
and it was kind of told to me that maybe I should do something else. And I fell in love with medicine. I love medicine, I love science, and I decided to be a nurse.
Okay.
So I was a nurse for 10 years and now took a break and here we are.
So did you keep writing while you were a nurse, like just letting your imagination pour out, or did you put it to sleep
I
for a little while?
I did not have time to have an imagination between nursing school and then I was a night shift nurse for I don't even know how long, too long, way too long. And you just kind of lose a part of yourself sometimes when you
Yeah.
work nights and when you're giving so much of yourself to other people, you
Yeah.
kind of lose part of yourself. So I didn't really have a chance. I didn't even get to read. Like I wasn't even reading.
Right.
I was just trying to survive on night shift.
Oh, yeah, I can relate to that actually. I just did a reel on Instagram about the fact that I did, it's like talking to myself. I did the same thing. I wrote a lot when I was young, exactly what you just said. I did a lot of handwritten stories and books and things like that, like notebooks and things. And then when, you get to a certain age and you got to pay the bills, you kind of get your head out of the per se and pay the bills. And same thing. I
No,
totally relate
exactly.
to what you just said.
And then all of a sudden you're like, wait, I loved doing this. Why did I stop doing this? Like, this
Exactly.
makes me happy. This is like, it feels like what I'm supposed to be doing.
Right. So that leads right into the next question of if you could go back and give your younger self any advice on writing, what would you say?
I would tell her that the stuff that everyone is saying is weird, the dragons, the wizards, the magic, all this stuff, it's not. There's a ton of people who love it, who want to read it, who love it just as much as you do. Just stay weird. Like, just stay weird.
That's awesome and so true because I grew up when, nerds we hid in the closet if we were nerds. So I totally get that. So was there a specific moment when you realized I'm an author and I'm going to do this?
I would say, it's funny because my husband was like, you're an author, because I wrote a book. And I was like, no, no, I'm not. Like, very much imposter syndrome. Very much like, if I can do it, then it can't be hard.
Right.
But when I sent the book out to my ARC readers, to people I don't know, to people I've never ever met and might never meet, I was like, oh, but this is real. Like, I'm actually doing this.
I read some of those reviews. There's some love in there.
Yeah, they're really all, everyone who's read it has just been so sweet. And I love when they come to me and they tell me, like, through DMs, through my website, whatever, just if they liked it, what they liked, if the characters resonate with them. I love that. I love it.
That's exciting. I think that's beautiful. So, what's the most surprising thing that you've learned about yourself through writing?
That I can do it. Just that, you can do hard things and it takes time, and I shouldn't be scared of what I'm feeling inside, because I can translate it to paper, to pen, whatever, and someone else might actually relate to it as well.
Yeah, that's awesome too.
You know,
And I think there was a social media post that I saw that goes through my mind all the time is tell your story. Somebody needs to hear it. I think there's quite a few motivational and indie authors are fantastic for it because they say it, that's a common phrase for them. Just tell your story.
absolutely.
Somebody wants to hear it. I love that. So how has your life outside of writing, like your love of the Philadelphia Eagles or other hobbies, influenced your stories?
First of all, go Birds. We won the Super Bowl this year. It was a great night. Great night. But I bake at home, and in Reverie, Ashlyn, the main character, bakes as well. So it's nice to be able to, I think, stuff that you do into the book, because it's just kind of pouring a little bit more of your heart, a little bit more of your soul
Yeah.
into it.
These subtle little nods that are
Yes.
directed at certain people, they're fun to plant in there. Have you
Yes.
done it with more than just yourself, like included other people that
Yeah.
specifically? Yeah. Do you
Yeah.
want to talk about any of them or are they a secret?
Yeah. No, they're not the villains. They're not the villains. Um, so I have like three best friends, and I kind of incorporated part of their personalities into the characters of the book. And I actually, in the acknowledgments of the book, I put, like, thank you for unknowingly lending me parts of your personalities. I don't even think they've read that part yet, but they're gonna.
They're going to go through it with a fine
They're
tooth
gonna. They're
comb
gonna
now.
feel so special.
Fantasy is such a vast genre. What's your favorite aspect of it to explore in your writing?
I enjoy the journey of a soul. How every single fantasy novel is kind of like, who are you at the basest level? And it brings out exactly who you are. And I love, 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 love stories like that, because it's not about the nonsense. It's just about you and what you can do when hard things happen.
I think that's so automatically a certain book comes to my mind, but I'm going to ask you what book comes to your mind as a source of inspiration for that?
There's two. So everyone loves to hate Nesta Archeron.
That's the book I was thinking.
I loved Nesta. I loved her because she's so real. She's angry. She's kind of violent, like, and she doesn't care, but she grows. And I love seeing character growth, and not this, the like kind of fake growth, like from the soul, you kind of bloom. That's what I like to see.
Yeah. That was exactly the book that was going through
Yeah.
my mind because I felt the exact same way. As soon as you said that that's what you love about the fantasy genre, I'm like, yep, I can definitely resonate with that. I totally agree.
Yeah. I loved her.
So if you could bring one element of fantasy into the real world, which one would it be and why?
The romance. No, I'm kidding. I think I would bring in, this sounds ridiculous. I would love to be good at like hand to hand combat. I would love to just be able to fight someone.
I get away with it.
Yeah. Yeah. And be like praised for it.
For it to be the norm.
Yes. What do I have to do?
I don't know, join some martial arts somewhere.
Yeah, I know. I have to let that go.
That's cool though. I think that's a feisty spirit right there, I think.
Yeah, I know. It gets me in trouble.
Nothing wrong with that. What do you think makes a fantasy story truly memorable for your readers? Or is it the transformation again?
Yeah, the reader has to relate to the character. There has to be something like an actual person. They're not this all-knowing, brilliant fighter, brilliant everything. Like, there have to be realistic flaws.
Yeah. Like they got to go through it.
They have to go through it. Because if not, you're kind of like, well, all right.
What's
Boring.
the point?
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's good. Are there any fantasy cliches or tropes that you actively avoid or enjoy flipping on their head?
There is one trope I will never, ever, ever, ever write. And anytime it's in a book, I debate closing it.
Oh, really? It's that bad?
It's the love triangle.
Oh, okay. I wasn't expecting that.
Cannot stand that trope. And I couldn't tell you why.
Just in general, like the animosity between the third person, I'll say, or what aspect? I'll be honest, I can't even think of an love triangle book that I've ever read. I don't think I have one. Except for, maybe Sarah J. Maas has like a hint of one kind of.
Yeah, well, I know that's the hard part because, her next book, you know what? And I'm probably going to love it in that book.
Yeah.
But there's not really any trope besides that one that I'm like, I love fated mates. I love enemies to lovers. I don't like bullies.
Yeah.
The bullying trope. I don't like that. Like, you can not like someone and not be like totally awful to them.
Yeah. How do you balance creating a fantastical world while keeping it relatable for readers?
So in Reverie, there's two worlds. She's living in this world and she's also living in her dream world. And for me, the balance was just making sure that it felt real, that her dialogue was real, her relationships were real, her feelings were real. Because if not, then it kind of gets away from you.
Yeah,
and you have to, you have to reel it back in and say, wait, what is the point? What am I trying to get to here?
Right. Reverie, aside from Snookums, was it? Is your first book, right?
Rest in peace. Yeah.
So, it has a very strong title. Like I was definitely, I love the word reverie. I love what it invokes. What does it mean to you and how does it tie into your story?
So I actually got the title from a lyric in Sleep Tokens, one of Sleep Tokens songs. They were all I listened to when I wrote this book.
Okay.
And I just I like titles that are like in your face. It's memorable, sort of.
Right.
And it just means daydream. And that's kind of what the book is. For me, the book is a daydream. I dreamed about this book for 3 weeks before I finally said, okay, I need to put something about this on paper. And now it's real. Like it's a real book. It's not just a daydream. And it's the same with Ashlyn. Like, this is her dream, but it could be her reality too.
That's a cool thought process. So what was the most challenging part about writing Reverie for you?
The most challenging part was definitely Ashlyn's inner monologue. Her feelings are very closely tied to mine for what point of life I was in. And it was necessary for me to get how I was feeling on paper. And it was hard to make sure that it translated to the story and not just to my life.
Okay, now I have to read it.
Yeah. It's kind of it's a very relatable feeling that Ashlyn has of feeling useless, feeling like she's not really meant for anything, that she like, what's the point of her being there? You know, but she still always holds out just a little bit of hope that something could change. And that hope is kind of what keeps her going. And she realizes she is worth something in the end.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So do you have, I mean, I suppose you have, is your favorite character Ashlyn?
Yeah, but I feel like that's lame. Like, oh, the main character is my favorite. But like she is. I love her. I feel very connected to her. But I have a very close second.
Okay,
And
who's your close second?
her name is Amory. And she was the easiest one to write because all she is my inner thoughts that aren't filtered, that my sister would be like, oh, like, stop, like, oh, you know, and she was just so easy to write. And she's fun. She's a fun character.
She's fun. Yeah.
Yeah,
You need those characters to cut through the tension sometimes.
absolutely. And she does a great job of that.
How do you approach writing emotional or high stakes scenes?
I don't really have an approach. I just kind of go for it and hope for the best. And later on through edits, I'm like, okay, I know what I was trying to get to and what's a more polished way for me to say what I meant to say.
So you said you dreamed, this is kind of on the fly, you said that you dreamed about Reverie for about 3 weeks before you started writing it. How long did it take you to do the first draft?
4 weeks.
Oh, wow. You were writing.
It literally was like, it was like vomiting. Like there was no plan. I had no outline, nothing. I just wrote. And then I was like, oh, wait, there's a story here.
Now that's going for it for sure.
Yeah.
So do you draw from a lot of, you said that one of your characters is kind of your inner dialogue, but do you draw from a lot of personal experiences for some of the emotional depth that you achieve?
Absolutely. And I feel like a lot of authors do because you want it to feel genuine.
Yeah.
You want it to feel like this is something that other people have felt before and that you're not alone. And if you're writing something that you don't know, sometimes it just feels fake. It feels forced.
Yeah.
And I didn't want anything to feel forced about what she's going through.
Did see in one of the reviews, somebody does mention the connection of the characters, that they feel very real. So that's cool.
Yes.
You achieved it. So what is one thing, and this is like my favorite question because it's such a deep question. What is one thing that you would love for readers to take from your writing?
From my writing or from just this book?
From this book.
From this book, I want everyone who reads it to know that you are not worthless. You are not useless. There is always hope for better. And you do mean something. Even if you don't feel it, even if it doesn't seem like it, you are loved. I swear.
So I think I hear the nurse coming out maybe in that sentiment.
Yeah. She never goes away. She's always there.
Yeah, because nurses deal with a lot. And I think that there's maybe some definite notes of that nurse coming through in that sentiment for sure.
I can't quiet her. She's so annoying.
So let's lighten it up a little and talk about your creative process and inspirations. Oh. You had mentioned that you listened to a certain album or band throughout the writing process. I can't listen to lyrics when I'm writing. It just kind of gets noisy. So what was the name of the band?
Sleep Token.
Sleep Token. Any specific album?
No, just their whole, I listened to literally every single one of their songs.
Okay, I'm gonna have to check them out because I've never heard of them before.
They're very interesting because they're metal and pop, and I don't even know how to describe them. There's a lot going on with them. Sleep
Token. I think it's funny that I take the time to write stuff down when all I have to do is hit replay later on, but I still write it down.
You never know.
So what's your writing setup like? What do you like to do? Do you have snacks or specific time of the day, or what do you do?
So I tried to do snacks. I really did. But it would just turn into me being like, I should get more. like, and I'm still hungry and I'm still hungry. And I would just eat the whole time and kind of stare at the computer. So now I don't really do snacks. I do a water. I have a giant cup of water and mint tea. Yes, exactly. Mint tea. And I have to listen to music. I have to listen to it. And if it's not Sleep Token, I have this other playlist that I listen to. It's a lot of classical
Yeah.
classical music or like pop songs redone in a classical way,
Okay.
sort of thing. But I cannot be in silence.
Me
I just
either.
can't do it.
So I mean, not in 4 weeks, I don't imagine, did you get writer's block, but maybe during the editing process, did you ever struggle with,
Yes.
connective tissue and stuff that's inside the storyline?
Oh yeah. But I think the easiest thing for me to get rid of writer's block was to move. So
Oh,
working out, going on a walk, doing something, and then you're like, oh wait, all of a sudden it comes in from the ether. Like there's no rhyme or reason. It's just like bam, and you're like, there it is.
it's funny you said go for a walk because one of my authors that I just spoke to maybe 2 weeks ago, she was the same thing. She'd just go for a walk,
Yep.
and I,
Every
I
time.
I haven't had it happen to that degree yet. Maybe because I spent a lot of time outside with my dogs, so maybe that's one of the reasons I get that little bit of outside time there.
Yeah.
Surrounded by nature is definitely my favorite way to feel stuff.
Yeah, I can't even explain it. Like all of a sudden it just is there. And you're like, I could have had this like 10 minutes ago, 20
Yeah.
minutes ago.
Exactly. So, how do you stay motivated during the tougher parts of the storyline?
I think motivated is a funny word because I don't.
Okay.
And I noticed it's the same thing with fitness. I used to be a fitness instructor as well. And I'm not always motivated. I don't always want to write. I don't always want to work out, but it's dedication. I will carve out that time, even if I don't want to, even if kicking and screaming, I will carve out that time and I will do it regardless.
Okay, I love that. I want that to play in my head every day. So right now, I started cold plunging
Oh
about
my God.
I don't know, 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks now. 2 weeks, I guess, maybe. Anyway, and I do it every morning at the same time. I get up and go downstairs and outside into the cold plunge, and I see that as easy now. It wasn't easy
Right.
on day one, but it's easy now, and I definitely need to apply that to my workouts because those are still, like 3 times a week and I want them to be 5.
It's so hard.
So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Back to writing. What do you suppose is one piece of advice that you've received from another writer that stuck with you? That was, my moment right there. Another writer just told me,
Oh,
go do my workout.
yeah, right. Go work out and then go write.
Yeah.
Nurse's orders.
Okay, so what's yours?
Mine, I don't really know if it's advice. It's more just like the first draft is just you telling the story to yourself. Like you can always go back, you can delete, you can carve it up, but just get the story out, you know?
That's fantastic advice. And it's so true. You're not committed and, it's not,
Right.
it's not
Right. You can change all of it, but you have to get it out first.
perfect. So if you could co-write a book with any author, living or dead, who would you choose?
I have two, and they're
Okay.
both alive. Gerald Brom. I don't know if you've heard of him. He wrote Slewfoot, which is one of my top 5 favorite books of all time ever. And Pierce Brown, who wrote the Red Rising series.
Okay. So what is it about them that grabs you?
So I like Brom because he's weird. Like he writes weird things, macabre, they're fantastical, they're mythical, but he does it in a way that you fall into the world. Like it feels real. Like you actually are talking to the devil. Like you actually are, doing whatever.
Right.
And Pierce Brown just has a way of telling a story that you're just so involved in from literally from page 1.
And they're both fantasy authors?
Yes, Pierce Brown. He does more like the sci-fi,
Okay.
and Brahm, I think they characterize Brahm more as like horror.
Okay. All
But
right.
yeah, they're great.
So you like those deep emotions getting rocked a little.
Yes, and I like the weird stuff. I like this. I like to read stuff that people are afraid to admit that they like.
Okay. All right. So what's the last book that you read that completely blew your mind? It might be from one of those guys. So,
I'm literally reading the Red Rising series right now. I
okay.
just went to the store today and bought the last three books of the
How many are
series.
there total?
So there's six, six right now, and I think he's coming out with the seventh.
Okay. I'll have to check it out because I like some fantasy storylines. Like, is he the fantasy writer or is he the science
He's
fiction one?
he's a science fiction,
Science fiction. Okay.
yeah. But oh god, it's so good. Literally, the first sentence, I was like, "Well, I'm stuck in this." It's so good.
Do you know it? Can you share it?
Yeah, it was. It's something like I wanted to live in peace, but my enemies brought me war.
Oh, okay.
Well, all
Yes.
right. Tell me more.
So if Reverie were turned into a TV series, what song would you choose for the opening credits?
I want it to be something unique and like in your face. But I love the song. It's called The Love You Want by Sleep Token.
Okay. I'm going to add that one
Because
to my list of things that I could just
we're gonna add that
rewind
one
and
down
watch
real quick.
again.
It talks about the love that you want. And I always, when I listened to it, I always imagined her dream was talking to her, saying, like, I'm full of the love that you want. Like, I'm full of what you want. You have to give in. You have to see it. You have to accept it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about your audience. Do you have a favorite experience with some of your readers, whether it be in person at events or through Goodreads or whatever?
Yes, I had one reader DM me on Instagram and she said, I read it and I'm reading it again. And it was before the book even came out. She was an ARC reader. She's like, I feel so connected to it. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna cry.
My heart.
Yeah, it was just so reassuring
Nice.
that other people connect to her as much as I did.
And that's like to have an ARC reader. Like it's one thing when you send your book out and it's with maybe hundreds or thousands of people that you don't even know. But
Mm-hmm.
for your ARC reader who may or may not know you right off the hop to connect with you that fast, that's pretty amazing. Like
I just,
statistically, sooner or later, somebody's going to love you. But for
yeah.
it to happen so early is what I'm getting at. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I was just so grateful. And I don't think people realize like how much a simple DM or a simple email like that means to an author.
Yeah.
You know, that like
Yeah.
I'm not screaming into the void. Like
Right.
someone has read it and someone enjoys it. It's
I
beautiful.
spoke to somebody. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, are there any upcoming projects or surprises that you can tease your fans with? Some new works?
I so Reverie is the first of a duology. I have the second book ready for beta readers.
Ace.
Yeah. No, I'm insane because when I sent book one out to beta readers, I wrote book two in like 6 weeks. And so I've had it ready, I've had it done. But the tease, I think, would be the villains in the book are called the Cruento. And they are like a rebel group insistent on control of women again, complete control of women. And in the first book, in Reverie, you just learn about them, you hear about them. In book two, we experience them. And it's a bumpy ride. So buckle up.
Well, that's a good tease. I think that's a
Yeah.
good introduction. And what's the best way for your readers to connect with you? I know that you mentioned Instagram. What's your handle
Yeah.
there?
My Instagram handle is at B Hooper Author.
Okay.
And that's probably the best way to get to me, but you can go on bridgettehooper.com and I have a little contact sheet do it there, smokestacks, whatever. Just talk to me.
Any questions that you wish your readers could know about you?
No, I just want them to know that I am an author, just like weirdly weird to say, but I also am just a normal girl. Don't put me on a pedestal. Don't do it. Just talk to me like you would a friend. Get into my DMs, comment on my stuff. Like I will talk back to you.
That's awesome.
You know,
So, do you have a copy of your book on hand? It's a beautiful cover, and I see dragons in the
thank
background
you.
of. Yeah. So that was one question that I ask all the time is what's your favorite fantasy creature? And I mean, I can guess, but am I right? Do we have this in common?
I know, I saw that. I was like, oh, I love dragons. I love their power that they have, how like they kind of just have a wisdom to them
Yeah.
and that they're badass. Like they're just so cool. But it's not so much a character. Like a very close second for me, it wouldn't be a creature, is I love a good sidekick that is completely unhinged. Like they're weird, they're violent, I love that. I will eat that up every single time.
Keep you guessing.
Yeah, I love it.
Awesome. So I guess the last question is, what's one thing you'd like to say to someone picking up your book for the very first time?
Go into it with an open mind. And if it brings up emotion, like don't tamp it down. Just feel it. And if you relate to it, it would make my day.
That's beautiful. So, Bridgette, I think that's a very exciting novel you have there. And when do you have a release date for your second one?
It for my second one. Oh
Yeah.
no. Oh no.
All depends on how
Oh
the
no.
beta goes, I guess.
Yes. Yes. I've had 2 readers so far, and obviously I need more.
So, do you have applications open for it now?
Not yet. I wanted to give myself a month between the release day and doing anything else with book 2, just to kind of decompress
Okay. What date
because
did Reverie come out at?
April 20th.
Okay, so it just came out for
Yes.
the first one, and you've got the second one like ready to launch.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
I know. I know. I know.
No
I
wonder
said I
why
was
you want to take a
insane.
little break.
I said I was insane. I was not joking.
That's wild. Okay,
Yeah.
that took me. I remember seeing it was April 24th, I believe, that it
Yeah.
launched, right?
Yep.
So yeah, that was pretty recent.
Yes. Yeah. I don't even know. Was it 2 weeks ago? I don't even know.
Yeah, actually, it was my first day doing cold plunges, to be honest with you, because it was
Oh
my.
God. I would rather release a book.
I only remember it is because it's my nephew's birthday and it's the day after my son's birthday. So I know that I started my cold plunges the day after my son's birthday. So,
Good for you. That's one I could never.
you'd be really surprised.
I don't know.
I'm in Canada and I'm doing cold
Yeah.
plunges. Trust me, you could do it. Anyway, so that's pretty exciting that you've got the second one ready to go to beta readers. I'm sure you're going to probably do a ARC sign up at some point.
Absolutely.
I'll have to keep an eye out so I can cross promote with you.
Okay.
And that's pretty exciting. I'm very excited for you
Thank you.
to have not one, but two, because my sister despises when an author takes forever to between
Yeah.
books. And
Because
as
then
a writer, when
you don't want to forget what happened,
exactly,
you know? But
or
yeah, and
suffer through the cliffhanger that whoever leaves you on.
right. And I'm starting another series now.
Okay. So
It's going
this
to
this
be,
second book is actually going to close off the duology like completely.
I haven't decided yet, but there are ideas.
Okay. But you are starting another series.
I'm starting another series. Yep. It's going to be a trilogy. And that's all I'm going to say right now.
Okay. That's exciting. So
Thanks.
exciting. So from not getting to write at all and only participating in the real world for a few years,
Yeah,
now you've gone full throttle into the author life.
absolutely. Yeah. And it feels good. It feels wild. and, some days disheartening and all that other stuff, but it feels good.
Are you still working as a nurse?
Absolutely not.
Nice. So you're full
No,
on full time as an author now.
full on. Yep.
Well, that definitely explains the 4 weeks to get it written.
I know.
That's awesome. Okay. So we've covered off how people can find you. Where can
Mhm.
people buy your books?
You can buy my book on Amazon. I'm on Kindle Unlimited, and you can also buy the ebook there. And the paperback is on Amazon. And then Barnes and Noble sells the hardcover and a paperback. And any indie bookstore or whatever, if you ask them, they might carry it. So if you have like
Okay.
a local one and you are interested,
Awesome.
ask
I'm
about
so
it.
excited to check out this book. I think it's fantastic.
Thank
It's right up my
you.
alley. I am struggling to read right now because I'm falling in love with every author I talk to. And I have this big long TBR now while I'm
Yes,
still writing. And I'm sure you can relate to that challenge. But I am going on vacation soon and I do plan on bringing a lot of
there
books
you
with
go.
me. And my
Yeah,
sister is also reading just as often. So she's like my reading
she's your
buddy.
wing woman.
That's right.
Yeah, no one tells you when you are an author how hard it is to also read.
Right. That's
You're like,
exactly my problem.
because I love reading and I love writing, but there's only so much time in the day.
That's right. So, Bridgette, thank you so much for sitting down with us tonight on Ink and Flame. I really enjoyed getting to know you and to
Thank
hear
you.
about Reverie. I'm excited for you. I love the feel of your excitement. It feels amazing.
Thank
So
you.
thank you. I really appreciate the chance to sit down and talk to you. And I
Yes,
hope the incredible success for these two books.
me too.